All right, everybody, thanks so much for joining us. This is Dwight Kay with Kay Properties and Investments. Today, we're going to be going over Delaware Statutory Trust, example 1031 DST investments for 1031 exchanges. Bear with us as we jump into risks and disclosures. The information herein has been prepared for educational purposes only and does not constitute an offer to purchase securities, DST properties, or real estate. Such offers are only made through a private placement memorandum or PPM, which is solely available to accredited investors and accredited entities. DST 1031 properties are only available to accredited investors. If you're unsure if you're an accredited investor and or an accredited entity, please verify with your CPA and attorney prior to considering an investment. The Internal Revenue Code, Section 1031, Section 1033, and Section 721, as well as Delaware Statutory Trust investments, are complex financial and tax concepts. Therefore, we encourage you to consult with your legal and tax professionals regarding the specifics of your particular situation before considering an investment or an exchange. And this material is not to be interpreted as tax or legal advice. There are material risks associated with investing in real estate, DST properties, and real estate securities, including loss of investment principal, illiquidity, tenant vacancies, interest rate risk, declining rental rates, declining market values, general risks of owning and operating real estate, financing risks, adverse tax consequences, as well as general economic risks. For an investor to qualify for any type of investment, there are both financial requirements and suitability requirements that must match specific objectives, goals, and risk tolerances. These scenarios included are hypothetical and not intended to represent any investor's actual situation or any performance of any investment. Your scenario may have many other factors not mentioned and included here. Because investor situations and objectives vary, this information is not intended to indicate suitability for any investor. Diversification does not guarantee profits or guarantee protection against losses. Past performance is not indicative of future returns, and potential cash flows, returns, and appreciation are not guaranteed and could be lower than anticipated. Please read the private placement memorandum or PPM in its entirety, paying careful attention to the risk section prior to investing. And all information provided is for educational purposes and general in nature. Securities offered through FedEx Capital member FINRA SIPC. So jumping in, today we're going to go over some example DST investments for 1031 exchange. It's important to note that the following properties are fully subscribed DST examples. The Regulation D Rule 506C DST offerings, they're fully subscribed, not available for investment, and future offerings will vary. If you'd like to see a list of currently available DST 1031 properties from typically over 25 different DST sponsor companies with anywhere from typically 20 to 40 different DST offerings, please visit and register at www.kpi1031.com for current inventory. Okay, so jumping into it, this one right here is an interesting offering because this was what's believed to be the first all-cash debt-free multifamily DST in the history of Delaware Statutory Trust. Most Delaware Statutory Trust properties in the market today, and it's been this way for many, many years, have had leverage associated with them. So typically fixed rate, long-term, non-recourse financing, attractive financing, in my opinion, if you're going to be placing debt on a property. But a lot of investors nowadays are looking for a way to mitigate risk, and they don't want the risk of a potential lender foreclosure. And really the only way to do that is to not have a lender. And so this right here was a all-cash debt-free multifamily offering called the Thistlewood Townhomes DST. It was located in the Nashville metro area near Google's. They had a new data center being put in. The property was a townhome style community. It was completed in 2012, 2015. It's a rapidly growing area, Clarksville, Tennessee, and within about a 4-minute drive of Walmart, Starbucks, many national retailers. So this was a debt-free multifamily DST. Next one, Essential Pharmacy DST. This one was a Walgreens pharmacy, corporately backed, located in Phoenix, Arizona. So primary market. They've got about 210,000 residents within 5 miles. Property on a signalized hard corner location with a combined traffic count of around 48,000 cars per day. And the tenant, which was Walgreens company, is on a long-term net lease where the tenant, okay, not the landlord, but the tenant, Walgreens, is responsible under a net lease for typically the majority, if not all, of the property maintenance, taxes, and insurance. And that's what we call a net lease. So this one being a corporate-backed net lease, a long-term with Walgreens, and in a market like Phoenix, Arizona, was well received by investors. So again, that's an example offering. Next, we have a FritoLay DST. This one was an industrial distribution facility in Sterling, Virginia, which is right next to Dulles International Airport, just a short drive to the property from Dulles, which is an affluent submarket of Washington, D.C. This one was also a debt-free offering with no risk of lender foreclosure. It was a brand new FritoLay distribution facility built in 2009 with a long-term net lease, specifically built for the tenant and its needs. Again, just north of Dulles Airport. Property sits in a infill industrial submarket. And the tenant, FritoLay, everybody knows FritoLay makes some of the most popular and high quality snacks available in the marketplace today. So industrial distribution is an asset class that many investors these days are very interested in because of the various demand drivers and economic factors, as well as with all the online shopping. Industrial distribution has been a sought after asset class. This was a couple of years ago before it was as sought after as it is today in 2023, but 2019 debt-free industrial distribution facility. The next one is a FedEx Ground industrial distribution facility in Uvalde, Texas. This was a debt-free offering as well. A long-term 10-year net lease with FedEx Ground Package System, Inc. Again, the property being debt-free is for investors that are looking to mitigate risk. They don't want the risk of a lender foreclosure or potential cash flow sweeps by a lender. A lot of corporate, commercial real estate offerings, net leases that have, large corporate tenants on the lease terms. The lenders have a provision in the loan docs whereby if that tenant, their credit rating were to drop below a specific threshold, the lender would be able to sweep the cash flow. And we saw that with some DSTs, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, whereby it was an investment grade tenant, but because of a large acquisition that tenant made that made sense for their business model, the ratings agencies, because of that increased debt, actually dropped them below investment grade credit rating for a short period of time. And when that happened, it triggered a cash flow sweep with the lender, where instead of the monthly rent going to investors on the offering, it had to go to the lender into a lockbox. Now, the tenant was able to increase their credit rating. Those funds were released back to investors, but that was a risk that if you're in a debt-free DST, if that were to happen, you don't have that risk. So FedEx Ground is considered the most profitable subsidiary of FedEx and is currently their fastest growing subsidiary. So that was a debt-free offering. Another one, Atlantic Medical DST. This is a Fresenius dialysis center located in Atlanta, Georgia. You've got 16 patient stations, 1 private station, and 2 home therapy rooms right off of Interstate 285, highway loop, which encircles Atlanta for 70 miles. It's a long-term net lease through 2033 with 3 5-year renewal options with Fresenius Medical Care. So this, again, another debt-free offering. On our marketplace at K Properties, www.kpi1031.com. Again, we work with many different sponsors who have their offerings posted on our marketplace. A large majority of them are leveraged, where they have financing for those investors needing to replace debt for their 1031 exchanges. But then a lot of them also have, a large majority of them are also debt-free, where they don't have the risk of a lender foreclosure or any financing. So investors, depending on your situation, you're able to view the offerings, understand, the potential pros and cons. We'll walk you through the risks of each offering and talk you through the potential business plan. And then from that point, you're able to build a portfolio that you believe makes the most sense for your particular situation. Next here, it was a multifamily property. It was a 50-unit multifamily building, brand new 2020 construction, located in Houston, Texas, in the Montrose area, which is kind of the hip, artsy, all the bars and restaurants and art galleries, part of downtown Houston. Fully occupied, 98% occupied. This one did have a long-term fixed rate financing on it. It's a 10-year loan from Fannie Mae at a 38.4% loan to value. So for those investors that needed to replace debt, this one was available for them to purchase equal or greater value in their 1031 exchange. And how it works, when you're purchasing a DST that has debt on it, if the property, for easy math purposes, has a 50% loan to value, and if you invested $100,000 1031 proceeds into that property, the loan is already locked, it's in place, and your $100,000 of equity just bought you $200,000 of property because it had a 50% loan to value on it. Where if it was a debt-free property, your $100,000 of equity only bought you $100,000 worth of real estate because it's debt-free with no risk. So debt can be potentially accretive to potential cash flows. It can enhance potential returns, but you do have much higher risk because you have the risk of a lender foreclosure. So investors that are investing in offerings with debt need to understand that. They should read the private placement memorandum, understand the risk factors. And if you're not willing to absorb the risk of a potential lender foreclosure, debt-free debt-free DSTs may be the right fit for you. So again, we can walk you through that as you're discussing your situation with us. The next one was another debt-free property. Is an Amazon e-commerce distribution DST, available for 1031. Also, these DSTs, a lot of investors, or most investors, utilize them for 1031 exchanges, but we also have clients that are building positions and want to be diversified outside of the stock market or put capital work into their direct cash investments. So DSTs are also available for direct cash investments. But this one here, the tenant was Amazon, Amazon.com Inc. Is the lease guarantor, investment grade tenant rating, very, very large market cap. So again, a debt-free industrial distribution facility. So those are just some examples of Delaware Statutory Trust offerings. Again, they're fully subscribed, not available for investment. But if you visit, as I mentioned earlier, www.kpi1031.com, you'll receive free access to our marketplace of DSTs at K Properties. And these are, again, from typically over 25 different DST sponsor companies. So the sponsor company is the asset manager that goes out, offers on the building, puts it under contract, does all the the review and analysis of the appraisal, property condition report, environmental report, negotiates with the seller, and then closes and buys that asset, that piece of property, and then packages it in a DST and makes it available for investors. And then once investors close on it, the sponsor provides asset management, typically for the property, as well as investor relations and reporting. So that's a sponsor company. And at K Properties, we work with, it's around plus or minus 25 different DST sponsor companies that we worked with for many, many years as we've been in the business, that their job is to provide offerings for investors. So when you log in, you'll have access to those sponsor companies' offerings, which again, is typically between 20 to 40 different DST offerings available, okay? And a large amount of those are debt-free with no leverage associated, and then others that have leverage, non-recourse financing for those that need to purchase that equal or greater value in their 1031 exchange. So say you sold for $2 million, but when you sold your property, you paid off a loan of $1 million, okay? So now you have $1 million to do your 1031 exchange with. If you want to have that full tax deferral, we'll first talk to your CPA and attorney. They'll guide you on that. But the general rule of thumb is purchase equal or greater value as the property you sold. So if you sold for $2 million, paid off your loan for $1 million, now you have $1 million capital or equity available to reinvest. You would need to purchase $2 million worth of real estate for that full 1031 exchange tax deferral, which is that equal or greater value. So on the platform, on the marketplace at kpi1031.com, you'll be able to see offerings with debt as well as those that are debt-free. And then also we have some opportunistic and income-oriented real estate funds for direct cash investors. So if you register today, you'll get free access at kpi1031.com to the marketplace. Also, we have a number of DST 1031 resources and educational materials. When you register at kpi1031.com, you'll get a free book on 1031 DST properties that I published years ago. It's believed by many to be the first book ever published on DSTs. So we'll get you a copy of that. We'll give you a free subscription to the DST, or excuse me, the 1031 DST Digest magazine. So you get a subscription to that, which goes into case studies, overviews, educational material on 1031 exchanges, on Delaware Statutory Trusts, on different asset classes, on locations and segments of the economy. So the 1031 DST Digest, for those that are considering maybe doing a 1031 exchange or a Delaware Statutory Trust, will be a valuable resource and tool for you as you're learning all about this world that we live and breathe every day. Next, we have educational 1031 DST conference calls. We do those weekly, as well as 1031 DST webinars that we do weekly. So we'll get you access to those. And those are, again, timely topics on 1031 exchanges, Delaware Statutory Trusts, and what you as an investor need to know about, how they work, what you need to understand about them, their potential pros and benefits of investing in DSTs, and then also the potential cons and risks. We'll walk you through in these conference calls and webinars those pros and cons, so you can make a decision as to what potentially makes the most sense for you in your situation. And then also, we at Kay Properties, we have clients located throughout the country. So we'll also put you on a list and invite you out to one of our free DST 1031 exchange educational dinner events that we hold throughout the country from time to time. So love to have you meet us in person at one of those. So here at Kay Properties, our entire team, we're here to assist you in any way possible, and we are your dedicated 1031 DST resource. So if you give us a call, 855-899-4597. Speak to one of our team members. We'll walk through your situation and see if we could potentially help you out. Or if you just want to register at kpi1031.com, we will get you access to all those things mentioned earlier. So we're here to help you out. Feel free to reach out at any time, and just really appreciate everybody and your time. So thank you very much.